I now want to create some more interesting legs than these simple cylinders. And in order to do that, I will now use the Revolve tool. So firstly, I will select this extrusion for the legs and delete the geometry. I'll then go into my left elevation. I will create a new revolve. Note that I need to make sure that the work plane or reference plane is correctly set. It is currently set to center, left and right. However, it looks like I don't have a reference plane that I can pick from this drop-down list that I can sensibly select. I can cancel, and if I go into my front elevation, I can go to set the work plane. I can see that it's currently in the center, where actually I want it to be on this reference plane on the left. So I can select pick a plane, click OK, and I can now pick a plane. However, I now have a dialog box saying that in order to edit the sketch, I need to open one of the following views where the sketch will be parallel to the screen. Thankfully, I already have the elevation left open, and that is where I wish to draw the sketch. So I can select Open View. A revolve consists of a boundary shape rotated around an axis. So firstly, I will draw the axis line, and I'll use the Pick Lines tool, automatically lock, and I will select the center of the leg here. It doesn't have to be a closed sketch or anything, it just has to be a single line located where I wish the intersection to be. I'll change the scale to make the line a bit thinner. I'm now ready to select the boundary line, and the boundary must only exist on one side of the axis line. So this is effectively the profile that will be rotated around the axis line. So I can use the Pick Lines tool to select the lines here, and then I want it to end in this corner to a point at the intersection between the axis line and the level. I then need to choose the boundary line and make sure that I'm selecting the reference level to align and lock, or the reference plane. I then use the Trim tool to trim the shape so that it is a single closed loop. I can go into my 3D view as well to see this like so. Once I am ready and I've completed the sketch, I can click Finish Edit Mode, and I now have a revolve. There are a number of properties I can change with the revolve. For example, I can change the start and end angle. So if I only want it to rotate 180 degrees, I can choose to select 180 degrees, and it will only rotate half the circle. If I type 90 and then 270, it would only create half the revolve, but at a 90-degree rotation. And if I did 0 and 360, it does a 360-degree revolve. I'll actually select the revolve and edit the revolve, go back to my left elevation, and I actually want to create a new angled line so I don't have such a sharp edge. I can select there, and use the trim tool to trim the sketch. Click Finish, and here I have an updated table leg. The shape can be as extravagant or as simple as you desire. However, it's important to note that you should constrain the geometry inside the sketch to any reference planes that exist in the family in order to ensure that the revolve stays in the shape that you desire. So I can create another one of these by copying the revolve. I can actually copy it from the center to the center of the next reference plane. And again, I need to edit the revolve and use the Align tool to align the axis line and all the sketch lines. I can also go to the front and I can select one of the new revolves. I can select Copy, and I can place it somewhere in the model here. Note that the work plane is now not associated. However, I can select Edit Work Plane. I can pick a plane, click OK, select this reference plane on the right, and I can see that it is now locked to this reference plane. I can go to my right hand elevation, select Edit Revolve, I'll change the scale, and I can make some changes to the sketch. I can drag the end and I can press Tab to snap it to the location or intersection here. And again, I need to use the Align tool to align all the sketch elements. And I can copy again, edit the revolve, and then align all the sketch lines. I can go back into my 3D, and again I'll then flex the geometry to check that the legs are locked to and adjust with the rest of the table. And that all looks fine. So that is how to use the Revolve tool to rotate a profile around a central axis, and some of the things to consider when copying new revolves around the family.